What's good, YouTube? It's your boy IC, the Guy King, checking in again. And this time, I want to have a what I like to call a big homie conversation. We work in a village type system, and it takes each one of us to be in the village. And recently, I've come across, like everybody, a lot of financial pivoting going on, trying to figure out what's the best move for different situations. For myself, I'm an entrepreneur, so I have a business over here. My wife is an entrepreneur, and then we also have full-time jobs as well. So we were having a conversation about bankruptcy, and I did not. That's an area I'm not familiar in. I haven't had that topic come up thus far in my entrepreneur journey or just in my personal journey. But I told her I had a friend that went through this process years ago. So he was gracious enough to join us today on this stream. And I'd like to introduce you to Coach G. Um, Quick story, I met Coach G back in 2007, if I believe. We worked together for a company out of Tampa, and but I was located in Atlanta, and he came up to train. They thought I should train him, but when I met him, we kicked it off, and we developed a work relationship that blossomed into a great friendship. And here we are, 15 some odd years later. We still stay in contact, and we bounce ideas off of each other. And he's a great human being. And I'd like to introduce you to Coach G, and then we could get into your story about the bankruptcy.
Yeah, what's up, fam? I'm so happy to be here. Thank you, my man, for having me. And I'd be more than happy to help in any way I can with explaining to you and anyone else kind of sort of my testimony on how my Chapter 7 bankruptcy went and, what are the pros and cons and different things of that nature.
Okay. So start off by telling us, like, what was the situation you got yourself into that said, okay, yeah, now I need to get
Right.
back
Yeah.
to the option.
So from 2006 to about 2008, I called myself, a serious entrepreneur, real estate investor. I was buying up townhomes, residential homes, renting them out, and life was good, right? If anybody who is older than 30 years old, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Before the 2008 market collapse happened, it was heyday. And then unfortunately the 2008 market collapse happened, and my employer, I was an engineer at the time working for a builder, and they said, hey, you're going to have to make a decision. You can either get laid off, and we'll pay you 2 months of salary and while you try to find a job, or you can work in the warehouse and take a $35,000 pay cut. And I said, "Whoa!"
I
I
don't think I
said,
knew
"That's
that.
yeah." I said, "Yeah." I said, "That's a crazy decision." And I thought about it, and I said, if I take that pay cut and continue working, I'm not going to be able to afford all of the debt that I've incurred, the monthly payments on them. So I'm going to end up defaulting anyway.
Mhm.
And then I looked at the market, and I was like, man, you know what? With the collapse of everything, I foresee 2009, 2010, 2011, millions of bankruptcies. And I said, if I'm ever going to engage in a bankruptcy, now's the time. Okay, because I'm gonna be in the boat with everybody else. And you know what? Let's just do it. So I went ahead and took being laid off. Um, took 2 months to really like figure out things, and I said, I'm gonna pursue some online stuff as I'm claiming unemployment. And so over a 2 year time span, 2009, 2010, um, I was able to be put in a boat where my income on paper and my debt on paper qualified me for a Chapter 7 bankruptcy. Now, let
Hold
me
on. So
start with
you
the
have,
first
yeah,
lesson.
I was about to say, so you have to qualify. Like, I'm assuming that your
Yeah,
income
you're
was not what it once was, and then from that point, the debt outweighed the income. I guess is that right?
Yeah, there's a rate. There's a ratio. I forgot exactly what the number is. I think it's like less than $20,000 a year or something,
Okay.
for you to be able to qualify for a Chapter Seven, based on, I guess, what the debt is. But the most important thing for the viewers to understand at this point in the game is, if you are considering bankruptcy, there's a Chapter 13 bankruptcy and a Chapter 7 bankruptcy. The main difference is this: in a Chapter 7, everything you include in that bankruptcy gets dissolved. It gets you get a record of dissolution. I mean, I forgot the exact word they use, but it's dissolved. The debt is dissolved. It goes away. You never have to pay it back. Is the most important thing. With the Chapter 13 bankruptcy, you get to enter negotiations with the creditors, and they put you up on a payment structure where you pay little amounts of money per month, but you do have to pay off all that debt that you have over, a given amount of time. So it's not like the debt just gets forgiven. But in the
So
Chapter 7,
is one like better for like personal versus business?
I can't speak on business or personal. What I just simply can speak on is, would you rather never having to pay the debt back and have
Right.
it completely forgiven? Or would you rather set up a payment structure and pay it over time, that you can afford? Obviously, you want it all forgiven, where it's just wiped
Right.
clean, right? There's another pro with a Chapter 7 bankruptcy besides the debt just being wiped clean. The
Okay.
pro is, even though the initial bankruptcy hurts your credit, very soon after the bankruptcy is complete and the debt is wiped clean, you do get a favorable position with new creditors, because they know that all your debt has been wiped clean, so you have no monthly payments, hardly at all, on any debt. Number two, you cannot legally file for Chapter 7 bankruptcy again for 7 years. So they
Mm,
know any credit they give you today, there's no way you're filing bankruptcy on it for at least the next 7 years.
okay.
So it's almost a safer bet for them to offer you credit right after a Chapter 7 bankruptcy. And that's what I incurred. I think my credit dropped to like, I don't know, like 600, 580 or something like that, like within the first 6 months after the bankruptcy.
Okay.
But then, like, after 6 months, my credit jumped to like 680, uh, because there was no debt and everything was paid off. And then I started getting credit offers, and opened a credit card, got a car, and so on and so forth. And the credit jumped to like 750 fairly quickly. And I was
Okay.
like, that's crazy. Like, I think if more people knew that, they wouldn't be so scared of doing a Chapter 7 bankruptcy. And I
So
can only recommend a Chapter 7 bankruptcy
right.
if you are eligible for a
So,
bankruptcy.
so let me ask you this. Some people might have like a house and then they got like a couple of cars. With that chapter 7, can you like pick and choose what goes on there, or is it like you have to do all or nothing?
I was able to pick and choose. I believe that, as I filled out the forms,
Hmm.
there's a different classification for different types of debt, and I was able to include any and all that I chose to include
Oh,
besides student
nice.
loans.
So let
Yeah.
me ask you another question. Is this something that, because I know you're one of the few people that I use this term with, is like you're like a genius. And would you say that you did this on your own, or did you like seek legal advice? Did you go through a lawyer? Like, how did that go?
Yeah, that's a deep question, and it deserves a deep answer.
Okay.
Um, based on your subscriber classification, I'm not sure they're ready for the deep answer. What I can tell you is, yes, I did it myself. I
Okay.
did my due diligence. Um, you know, Look at all the stipulations, the laws, the regulations, the rules, the process, and did what I needed to do to fill out all the paperwork myself and get it filed with the clerk of court. Um, it's not for the faint-hearted. It's not something that anyone should engage in by themselves unless they are used to diving into text and
Right.
doing due diligence and knowing what's up with everything. Um, but I will say, bankruptcy lawyers. I think it was like 3,500 to have a bankruptcy lawyer do the whole thing. Um,
So
if I can
3,500
remember.
or sit down and buckle down, and I'm assuming you did that within that 2 months of you not working, so you had the time to give
Yeah,
it the.
I had 2 years of time
Oh,
to yeah, I collected unemployment checks for 2 years. And I
oh,
had,
okay,
yeah, so I had a lot of time to read and up on everything. Um, yeah, I mean, you know, it, I had over $500,000 worth of debt that I needed to get rid of. That I
right,
knew there's no way I'm going to be paying this back anytime soon with what's going on, and I would rather just get it all wiped clean and start over brand
right,
new. Um, and so I was really adamant about doing a bankruptcy. And when I found out I was eligible for the Chapter Seven, I was running full speed after it.
right,
But um, I think the reason I didn't go with the lawyer is because once I found out, I had gotten quotes from many different firms on what it would be,
right,
and then I said, you know what? I'm looking at the paperwork. I'm reading all of the statutes and stipulations and the
right.
order and the process. I said, I can do this. I I can do this, So I did. And here 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 we are. Shoot, that was 2009, and it finally got the full uh closure in 2010, and it's 2024 now. Bro, would you believe me? I got a 815 credit score, and I
Like
don't think that I've done things
currently,
too
or
differently.
how long did it take for you to get? I know you said initially it jumped up 80
Yeah,
points.
it jumped up fast. I what took me it took me 7 years to let the bankruptcy fall off the actually it was 10 years. I'm sorry. I think that chapter 7 stayed on for 10 years, not 7. Pretty sure it was 10 years. Um Anyway, I forgot. It's either 7 or 10. But when it fell off, the credit score really jumped up. And as I have figured out the credit game, um, that's how I was able to get it over a 815. Uh,
Okay,
the only reason I don't have an 850 is because of credit history. If
all right,
I could lean on some people to put me on like a 30, 40-year-old credit account.
right,
But if I did have a 30 to 40-year-old credit account, I think I'd be
right. A1.
good to go. Yeah.
Well, damn, man. I think you. I don't really have that many more questions for our viewers, and even for myself. I still would recommend you do your own due diligence. I don't want anybody calling me or Coach G talking about you
Yeah.
told me not to do the lawyer, and you try to do it in the weekend.
This
Uh,
was not financial advice. This was for
right,
entertainment purposes only.
right, right. But you definitely gave a lot of information that I think should help people make a sound decision moving forward with their own personal uh, objective, whatever it is they're trying to do. Um, I remember jokingly when I called Coach G about, you know, my thoughts of like, hey, I got this one company and I'm like in debt like 40,000, and you laugh. He laughed because he said, man, mine was 500,000. And then that helped me put it in perspective. Like I'm over here tripping over this, and this other people that's
Yeah.
have like 7 times what I got. So, but I think it's a great tool because I know a lot of people like myself. I don't really hear people talking about bankruptcy as an option, and like you said, like over a decade ago, you've already utilized it, and you back at the top of the molehill. So but that's great, and I appreciate your time, and hopefully we'll get you on here again to talk about more in-depth different type of conversations.
Yes, sir. I'll say two things though, because I need to give credit where it's due. The reason I had the courage to really look into bankruptcy is because um, the owner of the engineering firm that I was working at, he had filed bankruptcy 3 times, and he told me
Whoa.
about it, and he was a multimillionaire, and I
Was
was
that
like,
Doug?
whoa. I was like, if this, no, 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 that was
Oh,
it was. But I said, how in the
somebody else. Okay.
world did he file 3 times over 30 years? then still make it big. And it was just perseverance. It was just not giving up. Learning what you need to learn. Everything's not going to be successful, and building upon what you learn. And then I found out Donald Trump has filed
Yeah,
bankrupt several times through his businesses, and I was
right,
like, you know what? This needs to be par for the course.
right,
Start. Hey, let's take that mulligan. Start over, right?
right.
Hey, but and the other thing, what made me die laughing when I told you that I was in debt over 500K, and that's what I got written off in the bankruptcy, and you said, "Man, I'm over here with 40K, and I think it's over."
Yeah, bro. Like you said, when the times are good,
Whew.
that's all you see. You see is good, and in the back of your mind, if you're like, you know, somebody that's thinking that like it's not gonna be good all the time, but when it was good, it was good. And I had ease and flows, and I'm like, oh, we last month was slow, but then this is like the first time in a long time where I've been low for several months in a
Mhm.
row. So it put me in a different space, a comfort. I'm no longer in the comfort zone, and I feel like I'm clawing, trying to figure out ideas. And I remember in the recesses of my mind that you told me about what you did. So,
Mhm.
and that's what I want these videos to be about is two great individuals, two husbands, two fathers, and I have great conversations with a lot of people. And I feel like if people just could be a fly and listen to what we saying or what our conversations are about, it could benefit a lot of different people. And that's where I got this whole concept to do this. So, but
Awesome, bro.
I know you told me you got limited time, wife, you're getting ready to come
Yes,
home.
sir. Yes,
And
sir.
I really appreciate this. And I also want to get you back on here again. So because we have several different topics that we conversation
Yeah.
that we talk
Yeah.
about all the time. So
I tell you what, YouTube fam, if y'all give this video 1,000 likes, then we'll do 10 more videos on numerous topics. All right,
yeah, yeah,
that
yeah.
that'll be the challenge.
Yeah. And you can also leave comments saying what you want our next conversation to talk about. We'll let you know if we have any knowledge in that. If I do, if or if Coach G does, then we'll ask him as well. So we appreciate everybody. Hey, Coach G, I salute you, man.
Yes, sir. Until
All
next
right.
time.
Yes, sir. Hey, man.